In a cold, forgotten corner of Philadelphia, where rain falls like endless tears, a struggling woman gave away a sandwich, unaware it would unlock the door to a billion-dollar empire. Across from her stood the city's most powerful man, cloaked in steely reserve, harboring a secret and an offer that would change everything. Kindness, a fragile flame in the storm. Could it ignite souls long thought extinguished? Step into their story, where a free meal becomes a thread of fate, stretching from a rundown diner to the heights of power and hope. Scarlett blinked, her long lashes trembling like the wings of a lost butterfly as she faced the tall stranger towering at her doorstep. His gray eyes, sharp as crystal blades, locked onto hers in an endless moment, as if peeling back every hidden secret buried deep within her soul. Rainwater dripped from his expensive coat, each droplet rolling down the luxurious fabric, soaking into the worn-out threadbare welcome mat, a work of art that had weathered too many harsh winters. There was something in the way he spoke, calm yet deliberate, like a low melody rising through a tempest, sending a chill down her spine. "I'm sorry, what did you just say?" Scarlett stammered, her hand gripping the doorframe as if it were her last lifeline in the storm of her life. The stranger tilted his head, studying her with eyes as deep as the ocean floor, where light never reached. After a pause, long enough that she thought time had stopped, he silently slid a pristine white envelope onto the rickety wooden table by the door, a piece of furniture so old it had borne witness to her years of hardship without complaint. "I don't believe in charity," he said, his voice low like waves crashing against rocks. "But I believe in settling debts. Whether you realize it or not, I owe you." Scarlett froze, her hazel eyes widening as they darted from the envelope to the mysterious man's face. Who was he? A ghost from a past she'd forgotten? Or just a wanderer carrying his own secrets? Her life, already a relentless downpour against smudged windows, now thickened with an incomprehensible fog. She lived at La Colombe, a modest little diner tucked into the clamor of Philadelphia, a rough gem caught between a greasy pawn shop and a steamy laundromat. Inside, the air carried the sizzle of bacon on a hot griddle, mingling with the bitter scent of burnt coffee, a smell that, to her, was the very aroma of life. Scarlett wiped her hands on her faded apron, her thin but sturdy fingers a testament to years of relentless struggle. Her chestnut hair, usually tied in a messy bun, now hung in loose strands after a grueling 12-hour shift. A day no different from an endless marathon. At 28, she bore the beauty of a woman wrung dry by life, yet her warm brown eyes still flickered like a small flame in the dark, despite the frayed hem of her faded white uniform. Her meager paycheck barely covered the rent for a cramped apartment 3 blocks away, where the blare of car horns and neighbors' arguments formed a symphony of chaos. But with the scant tips she scraped together, she held onto a small, heartfelt habit: a free coffee for the trembling old man on the corner, a simple breakfast for the single mother coming off a night shift. That was Scarlett, a big heart wrapped in tattered cloth. Raised in poverty by her grandmother, she was shaped by simple yet profound lessons. Her grandmother's voice, shaky with age but brimming with strength, once told her, "Kindness, my dear, is the only currency that never runs dry, no matter how empty your pockets are." Scarlett lived by those words, even if it meant skipping lunch to give something away or trudging home in the freezing rain after giving her last bus fare to a stranger. To her, kindness wasn't just an act, it was her breath, her way of resisting the world's coldness. Tonight, the diner was unusually quiet. The clock neared 9 p.m., its ticking a reminder that the long day was winding down. Only a few solitary souls remained. A truck driver nursing a beer with a weary face, a college student slumped over a laptop, eyes bloodshot from late nights. Scarlett was wiping down the counter, the rag rasping against the wood, when her gaze drifted to the rain-streaked window. Outside, beneath the flickering streetlight, a small figure huddled near the entrance. A boy no older than 8 sat in a wheelchair, his frail frame wrapped tightly in a worn coat emblazoned with Fredbear the Bear. His dark hair clung to his forehead, soaked by the rain, his tiny hands fumbling with a tattered blanket draped over his legs. Scarlett's heart clenched, as if squeezed by an invisible hand. Without hesitation, she grabbed a clean towel from behind the counter and rushed outside. The icy rain stung her face like needles, but she didn't care. "Hey, sweetheart," she called softly, kneeling beside the boy, her voice gentle like a lullaby in the dark. "What are you doing out here all alone?" He looked up, his wide blue eyes sparkling like twin gems in the downpour. "I'm waiting for someone," he mumbled, his small voice nearly swallowed by the patter of rain. Scarlett frowned, scanning the empty street. "Waiting for someone in this awful weather? Come on, come inside with me. It's warm, and I've got something special for you." The boy hesitated, then nodded shyly. She wheeled him into the diner, settling him near the crackling fireplace, a small flame that seemed to embrace him against the night's chill. "I'm Scarlett," she said with a bright smile, draping the towel over his shoulders. "What's your name?" "James," he replied, a faint smile tugging at his lips as the warmth seeped in. "James, huh? Such a nice name, why the sad face? Let me fix that for you." She winked, not waiting for an answer before darting to the kitchen. Minutes later, she returned with a plate of golden grilled cheese, the melted strands stretching like gooey ribbons, paired with a steaming cup of tomato soup. A simple meal but warm like a mother's hug. "This one's on me," she said, tucking a napkin into his hand. "Eat up, little guy." James's eyes lit up as he took a bite, the cheese stretching like threads of sunlight. "This is the best ever," he chirped, his voice clear as a bell. Scarlett laughed, sitting across from him, chatting about silly things. Favorite colors, the coolest superheroes. Anything to keep that smile on his face. In that moment, the world outside the diner seemed to fade, leaving only warmth and laughter. But Scarlett didn't know that across the street, a pair of cold gray eyes watched. In the shadows, a sleek black Bentley sat silently, its fogged windows reflecting the neon glow of the diner's sign. Inside, William Christopher sat motionless, his hawk-like gaze tracking every movement through the glass. At 45, William was a titan in the business world, CEO of Sterling Technologies, a billion-dollar empire built on cutting-edge software and unrelenting ambition. His tailored suit and gleaming silver cufflinks screamed boardroom luxury, not this gritty street corner. But tonight he wasn't here for business. He was here for James, the boy Scarlett had just taken under her wing. William had parked his gleaming Bentley a block away, in a shadowy corner where the streetlights dared only to cast a timid glow. His initial plan was simple: pick up his little son after a brief call with foreign investors, those shrill voices over the phone grating on his mind like a saw. But that morning James's nurse had abruptly quit, leaving him caught in a whirlwind between fatherhood and the colossal business empire he'd built with sweat, tears, and sometimes, figuratively, the blood of others. He'd told James to wait at La Colombe. "Just for a bit, son, I'll be right back," before rushing off to tackle the chaos of work. Little did he expect the relentless rain, like a mournful epic, to stretch on longer than planned. From inside the car, he witnessed a scene that made his steely heart falter. Through the fogged glass, William saw Scarlett kneel beside James, her hands gentle as an autumn breeze smoothing the boy's wet hair. James's face, usually pale and listless from his rare illness, lit up like a full moon when she set the golden grilled cheese sandwich before him. William's chest tightened, a strange sensation creeping through the armor he'd spent years forging. He pulled out his phone, his fingers moving across the screen with the precision of a man accustomed to giving orders. "Emma, get to La Colombe now. No suit, no heels, just jeans and a hoodie. I need you here in 20 minutes. Emma's voice, sharp and efficient as a Swiss machine, crackled through the speaker. "I'm on my way, sir." William leaned back in his seat, his mind a wild horse galloping through a field of memories and emotions he'd long locked away. James, his little boy, suffered from a rare neuromuscular disorder, an invisible enemy no amount of money or power could defeat. William had turned that pain into fuel, hiring the best doctors, the most dedicated nurses, building a fortress of control around his son's life. But now, through the window of that humble diner, he saw something money couldn't buy: genuine warmth from a stranger. Who was this woman? Why did she care, when she had no idea who James was in this ruthless world? Half an hour later, Emma slipped into La Colombe, her golden hair tucked under a faded baseball cap, a rare disguise for an assistant accustomed to designer outfits. She scanned the room, immediately spotting James still chattering away with Scarlett. The young woman was pouring him another cup of warm milk, her smile soft as sunlight filtering through leaves. Emma approached the counter, forcing a polite smile she rarely used. "Hey James, time to go, kiddo. The car's waiting outside." James pouted, his small hands clutching the half-eaten sandwich like it was his most prized treasure. "But I'm not done yet." Scarlett looked up, her gaze sweeping over Emma with a flicker of instinctive suspicion, the look of a woman seasoned by life's darker corners. "You know the kid?" she asked, her tone gentle but edged with a protective fierceness, like a mother animal ready to bristle. Emma nodded quickly, slightly flustered, a state foreign to her. "Yeah, I'm his aunt. Picking him up for his dad." Scarlett studied her for a moment, as if reading an old book with yellowed pages, then offered a warm smile. "All right, sweetie. Stay safe and come back anytime." She slipped a cookie wrapped in a napkin into James's hand, winking playfully. "Thanks, Scarlett. You're the best," James chirped, his voice clear as wind chimes. Emma wheeled James out, her heart pounding as she crossed the rain-slicked street. William stepped from the Bentley, his imposing figure softening slightly as he knelt beside his son. "Hey champ, did you have fun?" James nodded eagerly, his eyes sparkling. "Scarlett's so nice, Dad. She gave me free food and said kindness doesn't cost anything. She didn't even ask for money." William's throat tightened, as if gripped by an invisible hand. Free. A concept alien to his world, where everything had a price from smiles to loyalty. This woman had given his son something priceless, something he with his billion-dollar empire couldn't buy. "Get in the car, kiddo. I'll be right there," he said, ruffling James's hair, masking the storm of emotions churning in his chest. As Emma buckled James in, William lingered, glancing back at the diner. Scarlett had returned to the counter, wiping it down with a calm as if nothing remarkable had happened. He climbed into the driver's seat, turning to Emma with a low, resolute tone. "Find out everything about her name, address, background, all of it. I want it by tomorrow." Back at his lavish penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan, William couldn't sleep. The city lights glittered below like a carpet of stars, but his mind was anchored at Haven Street. James's words echoed like an unending melody. "She gave me free food." He'd seen kindness before, performative acts from people who knew who he was, always angling for something from his wealth or influence. But Scarlett was different. She didn't know James was a billionaire's son. She didn't know cold, calculating eyes were watching from the shadows. She acted as if kindness was the natural rhythm of her heart, needing no reason, expecting no reward. The next morning, Emma placed a thin folder on his walnut desk. Scarlett, 28. Lives in a one-bedroom on West Taylor Street. A dump even rats would scoff at. No family, no college degree. Been at La Colombe 5 years. Earns just enough to not starve, but gives away half her tips. That's all I could dig up, sir. William flipped through the pages, his jaw clenching as if chewing stone. An ordinary life, squeezed dry by circumstance like an old rag. Yet she still reached out with what little she had. He snapped the file shut, standing with rare resolve. "I'm going to see her." Emma blinked, surprised. "You mean now?" "Yes," he replied, grabbing his coat. Meanwhile, Scarlett trudged home after an endless shift. Her soaked sneakers squelched on the pavement, her t-shirt stained with coffee from a rude customer who'd barked at her over a lukewarm latte. Her tips today totaled a measly $12, half of which she'd pressed into the hand of a shivering homeless man outside the diner, despite the cold seeping through her own thin jacket. She fumbled with her keys, the apartment door creaking open to reveal a dim space. A threadbare couch, a few crooked old photos on the wall, and the chill of loneliness cloaking her like an unwelcome companion. She collapsed onto the couch, eyes closing, but James's smile lingered in her mind. A small light in the endless night of her life. A sharp knock pierced the stillness of the night, jolting Scarlett upright from her threadbare couch. Her heart pounded like war drums as she shuffled to the door, her legs, exhausted from an endless shift, trembling with an uneasy premonition. Peering through the peephole, she saw only a tall figure cloaked in a dark coat, his face obscured by shadow like an unfinished painting. But something, a cold, commanding aura, twisted her stomach, as if fate itself had come knocking to collect a debt. No one visited her rundown apartment at this hour, save for the rats that occasionally scurried beneath the floorboards. Taking a deep breath, she cautiously cracked the door open, her voice shaky. "Can I help you?" "I'm looking for Scarlett." The man's voice rumbled like distant thunder, carrying an undeniable authority. That's me. Who are you?" She tilted her head, straining to see the face hidden in the dark. William Christopher, he replied, letting his name hang in the air like a precious gem dropped amidst ashes. Seeing her confusion unchanged, he pressed on. I need to talk to you. May I come in? Scarlett hesitated, her hand gripping the doorknob as if clinging to her last shred of safety. But curiosity, that mischievous impulse that always triumphed in her weaker moments, overpowered her fatigue. She stepped aside, letting the stranger in. William entered the tiny living room, his presence like a whirlwind sweeping through the cramped space. His gray eyes, sharp and cold, scanned the room. No TV, just a battered couch, a teetering stack of old library books on a wooden table, traces of a life so simple it bordered on austere. You live simply, he remarked, his low voice almost a monologue to himself rather than to her. Yeah, I manage, Scarlett replied, crossing her arms, her gaze wary. What's this about? William turned, his eyes locking onto hers like an arrow piercing through fog. Yesterday you helped a boy in a wheelchair. Fed him, kept him warm. That boy is my son, James. Scarlett's eyes widened, like windows flung open by a sudden gust. James is your son? Oh, he was just sitting there, shivering in the rain. I couldn't leave him out there. Is he okay? He's fine, William nodded, his tone softening like a calm after a storm. Thanks to you. He told me what you did, didn't charge him, treated him like he was the whole world. I thought about it all night. Scarlett shrugged, flustered by the gravity in his voice. It was nothing, just a sandwich. It's not a big deal to me. William frowned, as if her words challenged the universe he'd built. He reached into his coat, pulled out a crisp white envelope, and slid it across the table with the precision of a seasoned chess player. I want you to work for me. At Sterling Technologies. A real job, 6 figures, full benefits. Scarlett stared at the envelope, then up at him, her mouth agape as if he'd spun a wild tale. Are you kidding? I'm a waitress. I don't know anything about tech, or whatever you do. I don't need you to know tech, William said, his voice firm as iron. I need someone with a heart like yours. Someone who does the right thing when no one's watching. That's rarer than gold in this world. You know that. She shook her head, stepping back as if his offer were a flame that could burn her. This is crazy. Why me? Because you saw my son, William said, his voice breaking, revealing a rare crack in his steel facade. Not my money, not my name. Do you know how few people do that? I run a company full of sharks, Scarlett. I need someone I can trust. Her hands trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside was a contract, her name in bold like a declaration. Tears welled up, blurring the words. I don't know what to say. Say yes, William replied, a glint of hope in his eyes. But one condition. Never stop being kind no matter what happens. Scarlett smiled through her tears, her voice soft but resolute. Yes. Her journey had just begun. Her first day at Sterling Technologies was a whirlwind, gleaming glass offices, endless meetings, and whispers behind her back like wind through leaves. The waitress William dragged in from who knows where? Some murmured, dismissing her as a pity case. Others suspected ulterior motives, as if she were a pawn in his power game. But Scarlett didn't care. She learned to navigate the steel and glass jungle, carrying the heart that once beat at La Colombe. Then, a month later, Emma appeared at her desk one late afternoon, her face pale as if stepping out of a nightmare. Scarlett, we've got a problem. Someone's leaking company secrets, sensitive stuff. William's furious, and he thinks it might be you. Scarlett's heart sank like a leaf falling in winter. Me? I don't even understand half this stuff. Why would he think that? Emma lowered her voice, glancing around as if the walls had ears. He doesn't want to believe it, but someone saw you talking to a guy from a rival company at the diner last week. The timing's too perfect. Scarlett remembered. A regular from Haven Street had stopped by, asking about her new job. A harmless chat, yet now it could be a noose around her neck. That night, William summoned her to his office. He sat behind his desk, his face stone cold, unreadable. I took a chance on you, Scarlett. Tell me I wasn't wrong. I swear, William, she replied, her voice trembling but firm. I'd never betray you or James. I don't know who did this, but it's not me. He studied her, his gray eyes piercing through her defenses. After a long silence, he nodded. I believe you. But we need to find the real leak. Help me. They launched a hunt, digging through records, tracing faint clues like breadcrumbs in a dark forest. It led them to a senior executive, a jealous man resentful of Scarlett's rise, who'd staged the leak to oust her. With evidence in hand, William fired him on the spot, his voice icy as a northern wind. Don't let me see your face again. His trust in Scarlett solidified, a steel bridge spanning a river of doubt. Years later, Scarlett stood at James's high school graduation, now vice president of Sterling Technologies. William sat beside her, his eyes gleaming with unspoken pride. James, in his wheelchair, beamed on stage, his light a beacon in the night sea. The diner days were a distant memory, but Scarlett never forgot her promise. She founded a fund in James's name, bringing food and hope to poor kids across Philadelphia. From one free sandwich, she built an empire of kindness, proving that sometimes the most valuable thing isn't money or power, but a heart that gives.